Europe was the place where I experienced my first ever snowfall, and also a place where I could not sleep properly at all. And also a place where I found out that beer is cheaper than water. In this video, I'll talk about the three most important things that I experienced and learned while living and studying in Europe. Hey everyone, I'm Sineva. I'm from Manipur, India. I started my journey as a student here in Europe back in 2023 September. And the reason I say living around and studying in Europe is because I'm part of a joint master's degree program under the European Union, which is known as the Erasmus Mundus Scholarship, and I got full funded education for free. And I have the experience of going around different countries in Europe and studying in different universities. My first year I was in Budapest, Hungary, and currently in my second years of my master's in Milan, Italy. And also I've worked in countries like Germany, so I have a good experience to talk about the realities of studying and living here in Europe. So, are you ready to travel and learn with me? Let's get started. First things first, let's talk about the difference in the time zone and the weather. So, coming from India, the time zone difference between Central European time and Indian Standard Time is 3.5 hours. So, the first time I landed in Budapest, it was already nighttime around 7. Very first night, I slept really well. And then to my surprise, I woke up around 3:30 in the morning. Because again, my body circadian clock, my body remembered that it's already sunrise back home and it's time to wake up. For the very few days I slept, like my whole sleeping schedule was here and there. I could not sleep properly. Sometimes I slept in the most odd times. I don't think I'm the only one that's facing this problem. And it was very prominent at first, but later on I'm adjusted now. I think if I go back home, the whole cycle will be repeated back home. And next thing is the weather, let's talk about the sunrise and the sunset. Earliest ever class was at 8 a.m. in the morning. I was living with a roommate at the time, so we were sharing like the bathroom and toilet. So when you wake up at 6 and get ready, fine, you get to your class around 8 and it's still dark. That's okay, it's fine. And then you realize it's already nighttime because the sun has already set around 4:30. I'm not someone who gets depressed, but the depressing thing is that there was no sunshine. That was the only thing. Because sometimes I start class at 8 and I come back at 6:30. Sometimes I have lab because of that. So when I come back from lab, let's say around I reach my dorm around 6:30 or 7, everything is pitch dark. So even if I come back early around 4:30, 5, and if I have to go grocery shopping, it's already nighttime. It's almost every day, every working day of the week. It's like that. It was very depressing because there was no sunlight. I mean, there was, but it was very less compared to back home. And for the very first winter, it was hard. Now that it's my second year here, I'm like getting used to it. And I actually like it a lot because I experienced my first ever snowfall in Hungary. It was amazing that day. I've never experienced snowfall because I come from a place where it's very temperate. It's not hot, it's not that cold, so experiencing like negative temperatures, full of white streets, full of snow, it was very good experience. And next thing is about making friends, especially when you come from a very different background and you come to a whole new different country. You have to make new friends, but is it that easy? Because there are a lot of people out there who are very introverted. I myself, I would say I'm somewhere in between. When I'm in the mood, I'm very extroverted. When I'm not in the mood to talk to anyone, I don't talk to anyone. But my program, the Erasmus Mundus program, I study Masters in Plant Breeding. Our program especially has 6 universities, and I was placed my first year in Hungary, in a university known as Mate. So our program only had 8 students. So the very first time I met all of them, it was very easy to get used to this 8 people because it's just 8 of us. And there were also other cases where there were a lot of other classmates where we have to integrate with other students in different disciplines. But all in all, our program was only 8 students, so making friends was honestly quite easy for me. For some people, it might be challenging, especially if you come from a program which is very big. But for our program, since it was distributed in a lot of different other universities, so I had very good 8 close friends. But beyond that, I also had a lot of friends who are outside our very own program. But making friends in a new place was quite easy for me from my experience, especially from my implant community. I made good friends. I learned a lot of things. That's the beauty of studying abroad. So in Budapest, I experienced my first ever European nightlife, and that was the first time I ever found out that getting a beer was cheaper than getting a bottle of water. It was very surprising for me because, especially where I come from a dry state. Not that people don't drink, but alcohol is banned, like officially by the government. But of course, it's there. Everyone drinks. But to realize that when you come to Europe, to get a can of beer was actually cheaper than getting a bottle of water. Not all the time, but especially if you go out and you just want maybe half a liter of bottle of water or 1 liter of water from the supermarket or from somewhere, it's easier to get a canned beer. It's cheaper. That's something I realized, which was very odd for me. Also, after you drink the beer, so if you want to access the public toilets, you pay more than drinking the beer because it costs more to go inside the toilet and use the toilet than to drink the beer. Hey, if you want to keep on continuing to support me, please like and subscribe, and also comment down below what else would you like me to cover, or what kind of videos would you like me to make. So the key selling point about me studying in Europe was education here is almost free. Well, not for non-European students. Let's say I'll give you a scenario. So they have a policy like most Europeans or European residents, if they want to study in Europe, it's free education, and also sometimes even if they pay, it's very less. It's almost negligible, as I said. But for us coming from non-EU, the tuition fees and other living expenses could be very high, but luckily there are a lot of scholarship programs for international students. I myself, for one, I'm part of the Erasmus Mundus community, so I got the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, and everything was fully funded and everything was paid for. My tuition fees was paid. I have a monthly stipend, I have travel allowance and various other benefits. I have my health insurance. I'm very grateful to the European Union and the people of Europe for making all of this possible. And as I experienced from my 23 years of studying or living in India, the education system is quite different, but there are a lot of key takeaways, a lot of differences I've realized in this past year. For example, the most fascinating thing I found out about education or exam pattern here in Europe, or especially if I talk about Hungary, even it's almost the same case in Italy. So when I was in Hungary, I found out that you have the option to retake a lot of exams. That was very new for me. Back home, if you failed in one subject during your exam, you're done. There's nothing much you can do. Maybe there might be universities that can enable you to retake the exam, but from where I come from, I did my bachelor's, there was no such option. But when I was in Hungary, I realized that if you're not happy with the marks you get from your subject, you can take a retake 3-4 times, as many times as you want, but up to a certain extent you have to pay extra. But that's beside the case. The thing is that you can literally retake exams. For example, if you failed, you can do a retake. If you're not happy with your marks, you can do a retake. But that was very new for me. So it was like a day and night difference when it comes to that. And also the way they learn the education is very relaxed. I'm not saying that they do not teach us properly. It's very well structured. It was a very nice experience studying here. I learned a lot of new things, and also I have gained a lot of professional experience working as intern in a very big company. So that made me realize, like, are marks really that important, like back home when you're studying in India? Well, indeed, marks are quite important, but not up to an extent like how it mattered back in India than in Europe. For example, as I said, you can pretty much retake your exam and get better grades. And at the end of the day, I realized that here people look for your overall profile. That matters more. Experience, working in labs, or your intern somewhere else, that your overall profile matters more than anything, not just your marks. That's something I realized after studying here for almost more than a year. And as I said, I'm on a scholarship program, and also I travel a lot around cities in Europe and different countries in Europe. So if you're ready to travel and learn with me, I also make some vlogs and also a lot of educational videos. And if you ever want to check out my videos related to scholarship or how to find scholarships or funding in Europe, feel free to check them out. Peace out.